Hello, everyone. My name is Antoni Pizà. I'm a musicologist and I'm a writer, and I'm also the director of the Foundation for Iberian Music and a member of the doctoral faculty in music at the Graduate Center of the City University of New York. Today is the 18th, September 18th, 2024. And I have the honor to speak with Marc Migó, a composer and a doctoral student at Juilliard under John Corigliano. Marc, despite his youth, is a very accomplished composer with many international awards and commissions, such as the George Enescu Award, the Leo Kaplan Award, the Dominique Argento Fellowship for Opera Composition, and the Pablo Casals Prize, among many others. His work has been commissioned by the Liceu Opera House, the Gran Teatre del Liceu in Barcelona, and Verita Ensemble, and also New Juilliard Ensemble. Well, his music has also been heard in the last few months in many different places, including Tokyo, Berlin, Barcelona, New York, Paris, and basically you name it. Just recently, Marc was awarded the Foundation for Iberian Music 2022 Composers Award. To this end, he has written a series of 12 piano preludes entitled L'Illa Deserta, the Desert Island. The complete title is L'Illa Deserta, Preludes for Piano, Book 1. So we should expect maybe a second book. To speak about this commission and his career as composer, Marc has agreed to speak with me. Marc, first of all, thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview. It's a real honor. Well,
thank you so much. It's the honor is mine, and I'm so excited about it.
Yes. Well, tell us a little bit about your background. You were born in Barcelona. Did you go to music school there? Who were your first teachers? Tell us a little bit.
Sure. I think my way into composition is slightly unconventional. I tend to repeat this story because, as I always say, it's pretty charming, but also it's true. So I should explain it. So music was not really an important part of my life until my middle teenage years, and by that time, my grandfather he made me a birthday present, which was he has always been a person very interested in culture, with a lot of intellectual curiosity, and he offered me this collection of Deutsche Grammophon CDs, which now I'm in my room from my house in Barcelona. I have them right there, which it was covering the span from Bach until Shostakovich and Prokofiev. So just out of, I guess, curiosity, if nothing else, I decided to listen to them, and I started with Bach, and that didn't really appeal much to me. Didn't tell me anything, but I kept going. At that time, and then I encountered Mozart's Requiem in particular, and that was like a true revelation. Like I sometimes use the word like illumination, because really it shattered me. It shattered my life. And I remember from that point on, going to high school, it was a pretty long bus ride, like 40-50 minutes bus ride every morning. So I almost got to listen Mozart's Requiem every day going to school, which maybe was not the most cheerful way to start the day, but I just could not refrain myself from doing that. So almost immediately, simultaneously with this discovery that was so thrilling, I had the urge to imagine melodies in my head. I had no idea of musical notation almost. I didn't know. I thought that tempo markings like retardando, accelerando were not a thing, so you had to write down, like a whole note, a half, whatever. I just was wondering how could he write that? How can you do such a thing? So this really immediate passion for music that struck me like lightning came followed by this urge of making music, both at the performer dimension and also well, composing it. So I first I was a bit kind of ashamed about it, because I felt, well, I'm 15 or 16, whatever it was, it's too late to do anything, and I have this path laid out for me, like I have to be a biologist, and I love the discipline, and I have this curiosity that never left me, but I just did not pursue this path. So it was it was a moment where people, at least maybe more in Spain than in the States, you are supposed to know what you want to do, like when you are 18, and what career path you have. So it was my life was taking this turn, very, very sudden. But my parents were generous, really generous. And I remember one day I told them I really would like to have some piano lessons. Would that be possible? And they accommodated. And then I was very lucky that I found a fantastic piano teacher. And she was who's called Liliana Sainz from Argentina, the Argentinian school of Scaramuzza and all these. So very connected with the world of Marta Argerich and all these.
Bruno
and then
Leonardo Gelber.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
So this I became really submerged into this world, and then I studied privately with Xavier Bouliart. So I never went to this how do you say, like this conservatori municipal, no? Right, like to get the professional degree, but by studying privately for a couple of years, I was already in shape to apply for the ASMUC, which is the conservatory, one of the two main conservatories in Catalonia, and I was accepted, and there I did my undergrad in composition, where I studied with Albert Guinovart and Salvador Brutons mainly. And then I really was seduced by what was going on in the States. So that was another leap of faith. I just traveled there and did a tour applying to many great conservatories or universities. And I was lucky to get accepted into what was my first choice, that is Juilliard. And a scholarship from SGAE helped me for the travels and the costs of the master. And from then on, the rest is history.
Well, to tie things up a little bit, I just wanted to remind whoever might listen to this that your two teachers, Albert Guinovart and then Salvador Brotons, have also been guests here at the Foundation for Iberian Music. So I think that you were in very good hands, and
Oh,
you
yes.
continue to be. I love those composers, as I love your music too. Yes. Marc, how did you end up in the United States after this early training in Barcelona?
Yes, so for me, and despite the wonderful mentors that I had in the Barcelona Conservatory, I felt a bit claustrophobic in an entourage that it was feeling did not really encourage the writing of music that was, let's say, tonality friendly, or was seeking a genuine communication with audiences. And then, by contrast, I was looking at everything that was going on in the States, and just to check what a melting pot it was, and the open-mindedness of it. There's the sheer diversity of styles, and how there were no such prejudices as the ones that were occurring in my home country, which has to be said, of course, it was way worse 20, 40 years ago. Now it's getting way better, but still I was seduced by the really greater increase, not increase, like greater level in open-mindedness in the States, and also by the amazing level, the really high quality music that was being made there. So I did some research. I discovered composers like Paul Moravec, John Corigliano, or Kevin Putz, or Richard Danielpour. Well, many people that I found very appealing. And then I went on that tour, applying for many conservatories or universities. Which all of them I loved. I would have been happy to go into any of those. But truly, my first choice was Juilliard. And as I said, I was fortunate enough to be accepted there. And really, my life took a very important turn for also for the better at that moment.
Mhm. Wonderful. Yeah. And then at Juilliard, you've been studying with John Corigliano, and you spoke about two different worlds, the European and then the American, and you kind of hinted to the idea that in the United States, and this might be a little cliche, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I think it's true. In the United States, they are more accepting of any kind of language,
Mm.
is for the good and for the bad,
Yeah,
is more of
exactly.
a postmodern
Yeah.
kind of, and in Europe, the modernist aesthetic in music, it really was prevalent for many years. Although right now, as you said, there is everything.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this composition that you did for us for the Foundation for Iberian Music. Where does this title, L'Illa Deserta, the desert island, where does the title come from?
So this goes back to my years studying the masters in composition at Juilliard, precisely. And then I met Philip Lasser, who's a wonderful composer and music theorist, which who also has a very relevant connection with Catalonia, because he, after studying with Nadia Boulanger, he studied with Narcís Bonet, a fabulous Catalan composer who sadly left us in 2019. Um, and I remember sometimes having a very passionate and rewarding musical discussions with him. And he once suggested, what is your desert island music? What do you mean by that? So, the music that you would compose without any pressure to satisfy anyone, just the music that you would like to do without having to satisfy any expectations. And this idea stick around. Of course, I always try to be genuine and be honest to who I was. But then once I got the commission for writing this piece, I thought that would be a good title and a good like definitory idea of what I wanted to do, right? So I on one hand, the title comes from these very nice memories, which is also a connection to my American experience. And in another way, it refers to a kind of like island of the mind. So it's not like it's isolated music that doesn't want to establish a connection with anyone. Just like it's based on memories, souvenirs from my past experiences, both in the U.S. and in Europe. So every prelude is kind of, and they are pretty short. It's kind of this encapsulating of a souvenir or a particular feeling that I treasure from my past.
Another thing that I've noticed listening to this music is that you are inspired very frequently by Catalonia,
Mm.
your birthplace, but more specifically about its geography, the landscape. For example, has nothing to do with these preludes, but you wrote a big cello sonata, cello and piano sonata, which is called, it has a couple of names, help me maybe, but it's
Yeah,
called Sonata Cerdanenca. So
exactly.
the sonata from La Cerdaña, which is the one part of the Catalan
Yeah,
Pyrenees.
the valley in the Pyrenees.
Right, the valley, yeah. And then one of the movements is
Called
called
La Donna
Cap del
d'Aigua.
Ras.
And Cap del Ras, of course, yes, very well.
Cap del Ras, which is a very famous summit
Yeah.
in the Catalan Pyrenees, and so forth and so on. Now, these preludes also kind of bring back in a different way Catalonia, but they don't bring back your identity, through quotes of folk music, like Albeni's quoted folk music, and he is a Catalan, and Granados a little bit too. Definitely Frederic Mompou also has plenty of quotes from many, Xavier Montsalvatge. Most of the great Catalan composers have harked back to the folk music. In your case, I did not hear that. There is not a folk song that you quote. Yes, everything sounds a little bit, well, not everything, but
No, exactly, precisely. It was a bit deliberate in this piece. Because since 2018 or so, or even earlier, I was very, very conscious about my heritage, my cultural heritage, and I wanted to integrate it in my musical works. And for this piece, I wanted in some of the preludes, as you say, maybe to distill to get this feeling of Catalan music without to have to resort directly to literal quote. So maybe in a kind of similar way as Bartok would do, just writing something that would evoke the Hungarian folklore, but without really being anything that. So that's an example of some of the preludes, like the first one, the fourth one, which it has this rhythm, this melody that has something very, I would say, like folksy from Catalonia. And then I remember showing some of the other preludes to some friends, even like to Philip Lasser, and who knows Catalan music very well. And he told me, "Oh, this is such Catalan music." And I can tell you how happy this made me feel, because it's exactly what I was attempting I think it's the prelude, the fifth one, it's called Melody, which is also a tribute to a homage to Miroslav Skorik, who's a Ukrainian composer that passed away just a couple of years ago or something. Although it's being a tribute to a Ukrainian composer, I wanted to do something that would connect. Actually, this piece reworks a melody from this composer, but in a way that just by the use of chromaticism, by the use of the form, it has something that I think really gets into the root of what composers like Mompou wanted to do, right? So there was this willingness to cover or to address my Catalanity, so to speak, although not systematically, not in every prelude. I wanted, as I said before, 12 preludes give a lot of opportunities to be very diverse and to do a lot, a big journey. Yeah,
it's a very flexible form,
yeah,
if you can
exactly,
call it a form.
exactly.
Yeah, and also Miroslav Skorsky, this Ukrainian composer who, as you said, died a year or maybe 2 years ago, actually. You quote him in this set of preludes, but also in the cello sonata we referred before. Why this composer? What's special about him?
No,
What attracts?
actually I don't quote him in the cello sonata, but in a romance that I wrote. That is, it's also in a CD that's coming up, featuring my cello sonata and the romance also for violin,
Okay.
piano, or cello and piano. That it actually it comes from similar material to that prelude, but it was I think my reason to pay him a homage is because I've for many years I've felt very close, very connected to this Eastern European sensibility, especially from Ukraine, and I really got to enjoy his music and music by other Ukrainian composers like Liatoshinsky, who is a bit from a previous generation, or Silvestrov, um, and others. So it was a pity when I really felt um, pretty sad that he had passed away, and it just sticked into my memory. And also one thing that I really appreciate about that composer, and maybe how he interacted, or how composers are regarded in Ukraine, is that he has this hit, maybe kind of like John Williams, but John Williams is so associated with film music, right? But he's not necessarily. And there's this piece of his that everyone knows in Ukraine. You sing it, and everyone can sing this piece by this classical contemporary music composer. So that really moved me, and it's kind of, yes, a homage to this composer, and also maybe a nod to this maybe utopia of a world where composers are heard, right, and that their music is it's really
Appreciated.
appreciated, and people engage with it, etc. So it plays around these concepts.
Yeah, what Miroslav Skorky can do, especially with this tune that you quote, is what Verdi does with La Donna e Mobile, or what Mozart can do with certain melodies. Is
Right.
like extremely sophisticated, and at the same time extremely direct, and anyone can understand. This music that touches your emotions and your heart directly, and yet it's very, very sophisticated, and I think that when you incorporate that in your prelude, I think it's prelude
The fifth.
number 5, I think it
Yeah,
is,
the 5 one. Yeah.
of this set. It's fantastic, so you
Thank
make
you.
a
I
very
mean,
good
what
use.
what you are saying reminds me of this letter that Mozart wrote to his father. I think he's talking about some of his piano concerti, and he's saying, yes, because it had a lot of success. I don't know which number it was, and he was saying, yeah, I tried to write music that can be enjoyed both by the, the just the well, no, both by the music expert, so the professional musician, but also people that don't know music, so that there's
Yes.
something interesting to take from a piece by all the spectrum of people that could encompass an audience.
Yeah,
So
that's probably the hardest thing to do,
yeah. I mean, and also it's not that it's not that I want to be a people pleaser or anything like that. I really want to remain authentic to my musical sense, but I think it's great to have these layers to one's music, these different to accommodate different readings or listenings.
Mm. You finish this set of 12 preludes with another prelude number 12, and the title, it's very intriguing. Tell us a little bit. The title is Mephisto Disco. Well, a Mephisto for pianist, of course, has direct references, but who knows? What were you thinking?
Yeah, so I thought that for the 12th prelude I would do something a bit different. So I did not write this in one sitting or two. It took me more time. I want to do something a bit more intricate and virtuosistic, and a bit more. I wanted to plan it a bit more. And then I thought about this idea. Of course, you have the Mephisto valses by Liszt, and so, which are considered are regarded as pretty diabolical pieces, and virtuosistic, and difficult, and connected with this esoteric world, and this well, by Mephisto, of course, from the Faustian story of Goethe. So I had this experience not that long ago, not that long before writing this piece, of going to a disco, a nightclub actually, and that really, because I'm not the person that really goes out that much in nightclubs or discos and things like this. It really affected me. It shook me. Just the loudness of of everything, like all the people moving, everything. And but the music, I was very interested in the music itself, because I really did not know that genre that well, nor I didn't. It was a long time before I had been into one of those nightclubs. So
Nightclubs.
yeah, exactly. So it really left an impression. And then I wanted, maybe it helped me digest this experience, because I was there from midnight to 5 a.m. and my head felt like it was exploding. Like I could not handle it anymore. Then I came back home at 6 a.m. I tried to sleep. I could not sleep. And then the next day I had like a massive like anxiety attack, because of all the sounds and the sleeplessness. And so for me to write that was kind of like a digestion, a processing of this experience, and also a experimentation with all these rhythms, these colors that one can find in the music performed at such venues, which I think it's not what would be my main cup of tea, you say cup of tea, exactly, but it has something. And the fact that so many people look for it and enjoy it, it just intrigued me. So it was a way to explore it's a piece that plays with concepts associated with electronic music, with a lot of repetition, this more like machine like,
Motoric movement.
motoric, exactly, like perpetuum mobile, a lot of rhythm, a lot of so, and it has this. I wanted to put Mephisto as a reference to the again, establishing links with tradition, a reference with the Liszt works, but also because it has this what I perceive as something, and this is not to say to put as a stigma on this music, but just this diabolical thing that you have to get into, and so yeah, that's some of the reasons behind this praise. I think it's pretty special.
I think if someone is listening to us, they want to go and play or at least listen to this music once it's recorded.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like a very exciting. It is a very exciting piece. I have heard it, and it is a very exciting piece. And I'm sure the virtuoso element that you mentioned is going to please very much audiences, but also pianists.
Yes,
Because it's very pianistic. It's
exactly.
the
That's
kind of
yeah. Sorry, no, that is
yeah.
something that because piano is my instrument as well. It's although I love writing for the voice, for the strings. I mean, piano is
Mhm.
really my favorite. So I try to be very idiomatic. And looking at the preludes that I had written before the 12, they work well, they are idiomatic. Maybe the sixth is a bit more virtuosistic too, but there was nothing that was at the same level of technical proficiency, let's say, as the 12th. So I wanted to do something also to finish up in this very bright tour de force, let's say.
All right. So, well, thank you so much. We're almost out of time. I want to thank you very much for your time. And thank you for writing these marvelous preludes. Well, just one final question,
Yeah.
actually. When and where can we hear those preludes? In the next future, probably they will be online or Spotify, but in the immediate future, when will this music be heard?
So I'm very happy to say that the full performance of the preludes is set to happen already in the 15th of December of this year, 2023, in Sarasota. I don't remember the name of the hall now, but they will be performed by the fantastic pianist that's called Marisa Gupta.
Of
And then
course.
again the next day on 16th of December in St. Petersburg, Florida. However, even this very month that we're talking, in December, the 30th of December, we can already hear three of them performed by Kirill Kedyuk, a very good pianist, that will have in the concert at the Salon Bechstein in Berlin. And then there's another pianist, a Catalan pianist, young pianist, who's very good. It's called Victor Braojos, that is planning to perform three of them also sometime before the year ends in several venues in London. So it's already getting some traction. and looking very much forward to each one of these concerts.
Fantastic. Congratulations
Thank you.
for all these performances. And I'm sure that this is going to be music that will be incorporated in many pianists' repertoire, and they will be played for many, many, many years. And I really hope so, because it's music which is worth listening to. So thank you so much for this conversation, and again, congratulations for this wonderful set of 12 piano preludes called L'Illa Deserta, the desert island. Thank you.
Thank you, really.